Dear friends, in the previous video, we have discussed what is air pollution and about primary pollutants. Today, let us discuss mainly on the primary pollutant, particulate matter. When it comes to primary pollutants, we have 5 primary pollutants that constitute about 90% of global air pollution, which include carbon oxides, namely carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, nitrogen oxides, nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide, sulfur oxides, sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, and hydrocarbons in the form of tetramethylate. It contains carbon and hydrogen. Hydrocarbons, compounds, organic compounds containing hydrogen and carbon. Tetramethylate, it is the anti-knocking agent, can be added to petrol in order to improve the knocking properties. Then we have benzene, C6H6, aromatic hydrocarbon. Now this is the structure. And finally we have particulate matter. So these 5 primary pollutants responsible for 90% of global air pollution. Dear friends, we discussed about these oxides, carbon, nitrogen and sulfur, and also hydrocarbons in the previous video. Today let us discuss about particulate matter. Particulate matter is defined as a single particle or aggregates of particles, mainly small solids and liquids, droplets. So small solids and small liquid droplets are collectively called particulates matter. It includes smoke and soot particle, mist and fumes. The smoke is nothing but a mixture of gas with very small particles, small carbon particles, very small carbon particles, small particles. And soot is nothing but mixture of gas then plus larger carbon particle, somewhat larger carbon particle. And mist is nothing but a mixture of small droplets of water in air, small droplets of water or moisture in air. Then fumes, it's a mixture. It contains carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide and small particles. It has got a characteristic odor, fumes. So smoke, soot, mist as well as fumes are the examples for particulate matter. Now here in most of the time it is the aggregates of particles, mainly solid and liquid in the form of mixture. In particulate matter, the particulate size ranges from 0.0002 micron to about 500 micron. This is the range of size of particles in particulate matter, 0.00002 to 500 micron. Now let us see what are the sources of particulate matter. Now sources mainly include the coal combustion, burning of coal. Then wind blown dust, it is also main cause. Wind blown dust, it is also cause for the primary pollutants. Now this is about mainly the primary particles that are directly released. And secondary particles, when it comes to secondary particles, it is from chemical reactions. The source is chemical reactions. Chemical reactions. It is a chemical reactions between the pollutant gases such as sulfur dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, and ammonia. Such reactions lead to the formation of solid sulfate and nitrates. So, chemical reaction that results in solid sulfates, solid sulfates, solid sulfates and nitrates, solid sulfates and nitrates. Now, it may be due to the reactions of sulfur dioxide reacting or oxides of nitrogen that is reacting then with ammonia NH3. So, these reactions can lead to solid sulfates and nitrates as the secondary pollutants, secondary particulate matter. Then the source, maybe the dust is directly the source, dust. Sources are the dust includes mines and quarries and powerhouse. Powerhouse is also the source of dust. Then vehicular traffic, natural wind. So, natural wind is also the source. Natural wind is also the source for dust particles. Then the smoke is once again the particulate matter. It is produced due to incomplete combustion. Smoke is due to incomplete combustion. Incomplete combustion. Combustion means burning. Incomplete combustion of mainly the fuel. Incomplete combustion of fuel. Smoke emission sources are rails, roads, open fires, diesel engines, furnaces, etc. Then we have what is called smog, S-M-O-G, smog. It is a mixture of smoke and fog. Mixture of smoke plus fog is called smog in suspended. So, fog in suspended droplet form. It is formed from coal combustion, mainly coal combustion. Then we have asbestos particulate matter. Asbestos particulate matter, widely used in industry for its mechanical strength and resistance to heat. So, powdering form of asbestos is introduced into the environment and it also forms the particulate matter. Let us see what is the effects of particulate matter. Effects mainly includes the allergic and respiratory diseases to the human beings, mainly in the form of atmospheric dust. Atmospheric dust. The dust that is injected into the atmosphere causes allergic reactions, allergic and respiratory diseases, respiratory diseases. This is the first effect of particulate matter. Then the smoke is related to incidence of cancer. The smoke can lead to cancer. It can lead to cancer. As we know, asbestos particulate results in lung cancer, or the condition is called asbestosis. Asbestos particulate matter. Particulate matter results in lung cancer. Lung cancer. Lung cancer. So condition we call it as asbestosis. So the severe lung disease caused by the asbestos particle is called asbestosis. Now these particulate matters are small in size, so it can damage lung tissues. Damage lung tissues. If these particulate matters are acidic or they are from the aldehyde particulate source, then it causes eye, nose and throat irritations. Acid and aldehyde particulate matter. Acid and aldehyde, I am writing CHO, the functional group aldehyde. Acid and aldehyde particulate matter. Aldehyde particulates causes eye, then nose, then throat irritation. Throat irritation. Throat irritation. Now these are the main effects of particulate matter when we consider the human beings, mainly allergic and respiratory disease. Then smoke, it can lead to cancer. The asbestos sheet that we use disintegrates and it gives particulate matter. It can lead to the condition called asbestosis. This particulate matter mainly contains small sized particles. As a result, it can have damage on lung tissues. Particulate matter which are acidic or aldehyde in nature can cause eye irritation, nose irritation as well as throat irritations. Now let us discuss on mercury and lead as the particulate matter mainly. These two are the dangerous heavy metals, mercury and lead. These heavy metals can enter directly into the body and it interacts with enzymes and inhibits biochemical processes. Now let us see the sources of mercury and lead. First let us discuss mercury, the sources. The pure mercury is not dangerous as such, but its vapors form is very dangerous. So vapor form is dangerous. Vapor form of mercury is dangerous. Pure form is not dangerous. Now the main sources of this mercury, mainly it ejected from volcanoes. Volcanoes is the main source and are responsible for mainly half of atmospheric mercury emissions. So volcano is responsible for 50% of atmospheric mercury. Then it also produced from coal fire of power plants. Then the cement production industry is also the source for mercury. And metal extraction process. A small amount of this mercury is also present, or the sources of mercury may be batteries, mercury batteries, then thermometer and electric switches, dental amalgam and pharmaceuticals, the sources of mercury. When it comes to effects of mercury, elemental or organic substituted like methyl mercury may destruct lung tissues and it affects nervous system. So it can affect lung tissues, then it can affect the central nervous system. Remember, mercury in the form of vapor is more dangerous. Inhalation of mercury vapor can produce harmful effects on nervous. Then it can cause problems in digestive system, and finally in kidneys, or it can have effect on total immune system. It has effect on total immune system. Mercury in the form of heavy metals, mainly in the form of mercury vapor. Then inorganic of mercury salts of mercury are corrosive to skin, and it can also cause kidney toxicity. Kidney toxicity. Now let us see how we can control the effect or presence of this mercury in the environment. Mainly we can promote the use of clean energy sources, actually without burning coal. Then eliminating mercury from mining, and also eliminating the use of mercury in gold extraction. Then discontinuing the use of mercury containing products in batteries, then thermometers, lamps. We can also discontinue the use of materials or things which contain mercury. It includes lamps, skin whitening cosmetics, etc. This is how we can control the pollution caused by this heavy metal mercury. Now let us see the pollutant lead. Lead is also heavy metal just like mercury. The most common sources of lead poisoning is dust and chips from old paint. Lead from automobile source still remains in the soil for a long time. Lead is also comes from metal smelting, lead acid battery manufacture, lead based pipes or solder leaches, and it enters into the water through corrosion. When it comes to lead, the component that enters the body is Pb2 plus in the form of lead ion, Pb2 plus in the form of tetraethyl lead, tetraethyl lead, tetraethyl lead from lead based paints, leaded petrol and lead batteries. Lead deposits in the blood and bones and tissues in the form of lead plus 2. Now let us see what is the effect of this plus 2 effects of lead. Pb plus 2, when it enters into the blood in the form of course lead enters into the blood in the form of Fe, Pb2 plus. It will have effect on nervous disorders, mainly nervous disorders are caused by lead. It also affects brain development. Brain development is mainly caused by the lead in case of children's. It affects immune system, it affects kidneys, it damages the blood. It can have effect on kidneys, then immune system, then it can produce damage, it can damage the blood. Lead also inhibit two enzymes that catalyze biosynthesis of hemoglobin. As a result, oxygen carrying capacity of blood is affected. Now let us see how we can control lead poisoning or this heavy metal, how we can control. So lead smelting plants should design their storage piles. So lead smelting, so there must be a change in the smelting technology. Then we need to eliminate lead contamination in drinking water. We need to eliminate lead contamination in drinking water. Contamination in drinking water. We can make use of the methods like reverse osmosis, so that we can remove lead ions. Then filtration using carbon fibers. Carbon filters. So we can eliminate this lead by maintaining the soil pH. At around 6.5. So at this pH, plant cannot absorb lead content. So if you maintain this pH at around 6.5 to minimize absorption of lead, we can avoid lead content going into plants by maintaining the soil pH at 6.5. Once it is not entered into the plants, it can enter into the human beings. Why? Because we utilize a lot of vegetables in the form of plants. So consuming this lead from plants can be avoided by maintaining the pH of the soil at 6.5 to minimize the absorption of lead content. Dear friends, this is about primary pollutant, mainly particulate matter, and the discussion about heavy metal contamination in the form of lead and mercury. In the next video, let us discuss about secondary pollutants. Till then, goodbye, take care, thank you.